Hello everyone, it's Carter, and today I just want to basically cover the past year of Star Wars since The Last Jedi or Solo, a Star Wars story, and just talk about the comics and the theme parks, the video games, and everything. So first, I'm going to start with right after Solo. The fan base was still kind of shaky after The Last Jedi. Personally, I think it's a pretty good movie, but that's your opinion. It's your thing to decide whether you liked it or not. But I personally did. So it was just like Disney was popping out memorabilia of it, and no one really bought it, and so the year went on until December 12th, 2018, where Star Wars Series Channel blew up with his fan film, which most of the Star Wars fan base really liked, including myself, which was kind of the thing that Star Wars fans wanted from Darth Vader and all that stuff, and he's currently working on episode 2, we think. Anyways, on to early 2019. So there wasn't that much until about January and February, and October 2018 and November 2018. So in the game we got, in October 27th, we got General Grievous in Battlefront 2 on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, I think. We got, and then in November we got Obi-Wan Kenobi. January, Count Dooku, and February 27th, we got Anakin Skywalker, I believe. After that was kind of everything that Battlefront 2, what was left of the Battlefront 2 players wanted. So that kind of reunited some of the Battlefront or Star Wars game lovers or fans or gamers. I don't know what you call them, but yeah, that's what reunited most of them. And then after that, there was April, which was kind of a big month for Star Wars since Solo, because they took a huge hiatus. Disney did. They kind of just didn't really release anything after Solo. But after that, there was the first April. In April, there was the first trailer for The Rise of Skywalker, the first trailer for Jedi Fallen Order, which both looked amazing. And they also released the Master and Apprentice book, which I'm still reading. It's so big, but it's made me love Qui-Gon Jinn just like 1,000 times more. He's my favorite Star Wars character. Him, Darth Vader, and Kylo Ren now. Anyways, next into the following months. The following months are just like, they were just kind of like comic books spread throughout the months, and that was leading up until November. November 12th, The Mandalorian was released. It was a huge hit. It reunited the Star Wars fans, and Baby Yoda was just like, it just blew up so much, it's not even funny, because, who wouldn't want to watch that thing every Friday on Disney Plus? I personally set an alarm for like 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning, and the first thing on Fridays, and the first thing I do is run upstairs to watch him, because it's just great. I love seeing more content of Baby Yoda and The Mandalorian, and Cara Dune. I love the content, and I can't wait until episode 8 comes out of The Mandalorian on the 27th. Okay, next we have November 15th. Episode 2 of The Mandalorian was released, but more importantly, Jedi Fallen Order was released. I love Jedi Fallen Order. I have the game, and I'm about a quarter way through it already. It's amazing, and we got so much lore in it. It's basically it's everything a Star Wars lore fan would ever want. It's the first Star Wars game that you can have the most custom. You can customize your lightsaber the way that you choose. I have my Savi's Workshop lightsaber right here. It's pretty cool, but I'll get to that in a second when we lead up to my vacation right now. And yeah, it was great. I mean, there was an orange lightsaber crystal that came with pre-order bonus, but I didn't pre-order it because, well, actually, I did pre-order it, but the people at the game store mixed it up, and I couldn't get a refund. So I just took the one that I had and just basically sucked it up because it's not that bad. I mean, it's nice. But it's just a great game. You can have a double-bladed lightsaber. It's basically, you can travel to Dathomir, basically new planets, old planets. It's great. And what more do I have to say than it's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it. Anyways, I don't know what else to say. Oh yes, I was going to The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian Chapter 2, it felt like a little bit of a filler, but it was great. We got to see more of Baby Yoda's powers and learned that he actually is a Force sensitive. And he saved the Mandalorian from the Mudhorn, which looks totally amazing. And those Jawas were just jerks, though. I mean, they took parts of the Mandalorian's ship, and they just, like, what? They took it and held it for ransom, kind of, and then they asked him to basically either pay with credits, or I don't know, or go get this egg, and then they'd let him have his ship parts back, which I think was ridiculous. I mean, I think they deserved to get disintegrated once they got off of his ship from taking the parts. Because if you ever touch someone's ship, you're kind of asking for it. Anyways, next to The Mandalorian Episode 3, which would be, I don't know what the date was, but that would be around November 30th, or the 20s, and Episode 3, most fans loved it. I mean, like, the Mandalorian got back from the planet where he got Baby Yoda. He turned in Baby Yoda to Werner Herzog's character, and he basically went and collected his Beskar, and he got a new chest plate. And then he was about to go collect his other bounty, but he couldn't have him turning in Baby Yoda for a bounty on in his conscience or in his mind and all that stuff. Otherwise, he'd feel guilty. So he turned back. He went to the cloning facility, I believe, from the Imperials, and he took Baby Yoda and basically held the people at gunpoint that were trying to clone him or do whatever the procedure was in Episode 3. And he he took Baby Yoda and did some really, really cool maneuvers with that kind of arrow thing type of gun from Guardians of the Galaxy. If you guys watch Marvel, you'll know what I mean. And he was just really cool. And after that, the next part of the season was kind of cut out, basically, from running from, like, guild members to keep Baby Yoda safe. Anyways, that was the last part of episode 3. After that huge gunfight with the guild members and Grieved Karga. Oh my gosh, I cannot speak today. And then, in some point in late November, then it happened. My favorite episode of The Mandalorian, besides episode 7. So, this is kind of like the most funny for me, and just basically relaxing, and it was just funny. And so, basically, the Mandalorian needed to get away from guild members or bounty hunters. So he went to this planet that was kind of like Endor or Naboo, and they've harvested rice farms or something like that. But there was these raiders that came all the time and attacked the village from the farmers. So they had no money, no weapon skills or anything. So basically, I'll get into it later. I want this to feel cooler and more in order than what I'm saying. So the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda get down to Sorgon, I think the name is. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. And he basically sets to the Mandalorians in the mindset that he won't be seen for a couple of months, so he can just relax for a few months and basically chill and drink bone broth with Baby Yoda. So he was very wrong, as I think he went to the restaurant nearby and he got Baby Yoda some bone broth, and he saw a shock trooper from the distance inside of the restaurant too. She said her name was Cara Dune, one of my favorite characters in The Mandalorian also, besides Baby Yoda, because who doesn't like Baby Yoda? And then, basically, the Mandalorian, he realized that Baby Yoda, or Cara Dune, was not in the restaurant anymore. So then, he went outside, basically gave the waitress an extra tip for babysitting Baby Yoda for a few more minutes. So he went out, he kind of had his little vibro blade out, and Cara Dune jumped onto him and with her vibro blade, and they got in this cool fist fight, and then they both kind of drew their guns at each other while they were on the ground at the same time. And then the camera panned up to see Baby Yoda in all of his robes, just drinking his bone broth while watching them. And then the Mandalorian invites Cara Dune in for some bone broth, which was pretty funny, and just knowing that Baby Yoda was so innocent and he was just watching it, it was funny. And then, basically after that, they just sat down, discussed that the Mandalorian needed to get off. Cara said that he needed to get off this planet because she already took it, and just all that stuff. So I don't know what happened from then. I haven't watched it since November, And basically, after that, the Mandalorian needed to find some work to do for money. And so he got some. The raiders that were attacking the village. The villagers were asked the Mandalorian for help. So he did help the villagers, and he took down an ATST, got his money, and got off. Next episode 5 of The Mandalorian. So the episode starts with a gun chase, or a spaceship chasing down the Razor Crest, the Mandalorian's ship. And it was cool. I mean, the guy that was chasing the Mandalorian took his catchphrase, which the Mandalorian was not happy about, and he basically said, I can bring you in cold or hot or warm. And the Mandalorian kind of just swerved over his ship and bombed his, and he said, that's my catchphrase. That may sound a little weird to you, but how I said it, but it's out, I guess. And so next, the Mandalorian crash lands onto Tatooine. He asks this lady to repair his ship, or basically this lady was criticizing it and all that stuff, and it was kind of funny. And Baby Yoda's locked away sleeping right now, and the Mandalorian goes to the cantina looking for more work to pay the lady he asked to work on his ship for. Seems it was broke down, and the person that was flying the ship and it was gunning him down shot it, and he needed to get to Tatooine, the nearest planet, as fast as possible. So from then, he found another guild member. He had a hard target as his first target from being in the guild. So he asked the Mandalorian to do it for him, but the Mandalorian said, no, you have to help me. And basically they gunned the bounty down. They captured her, and then the Mandalorians head out for the dewback that they saw earlier. That was the pilot that the Mandalorian killed, and the guy was laying lifelessly on the dewback. So the Mandalorian took the dewback back to where the other guy was with the bounty, but they weren't there. Only the corpse was of the bounty, where the guy basically said that the bounty said that her head was worth less than the Mandalorian's was. So the bounty hunters basically said good advice, shot her, went to the camp back to Mos Eisley, and basically put the gun on Baby Yoda's head, and because that's where the engineer found Baby Yoda, and then he basically put them at gunpoint. The Mandalorian threw a flash bomb and shot the bounty hunter right in the head. The Mandalorian paid the lady and basically set off for episode 6. This was my least favorite episode, actually, because there wasn't much going on. It's just that it's it wasn't anything new that we haven't seen in Star Wars already. So basically, the Mandalorian comes to the space barge. The guy, there's this guy. He wanted the bounty. But this guy, the bounty was the guy's friend. So, but he was imprisoned in a rebel prison. So he sends some other bounty hunters with the Mandalorian, and this is how mad these guys made me. They basically took Baby Yoda once this guy was snooping into the Mandalorian's gun collection on his ship while they were trying to get there, and the Mandalorian closed it. The guy punched him in the wrong direction. The Mandalorian ducked it and pounded the button to open the room where Baby Yoda slept. And then the other bounty hunter took Baby Yoda and then he basically talked about having a pet and then threw it on the floor, which made me very, very, very mad. They got to the prison. The Mandalorian got fed up with how they acted. He separated them in these doors, basically, and then called the rebels on them. Took the bounty, went to the spaceship, back to his spaceship. And then he, just in time for the droid that flew them there, just in time, he got there just in time to kill the droid that was about to kill Baby Yoda, which was one of the most awful scenes besides in episode 1 where IG-11 was about to kill Baby Yoda. This was like the same scene over again. If you've seen it the first time, it's like your heart pounds 13 times a second, because we all care for Baby Yoda so much. You cannot deny it. Anyways, on to episode 7, that being yesterday. Anyways, this episode was my second favorite. Basically, Greef Karga lures the Mandalorian into a trap where basically the client wants to have Baby Yoda, which was Werner Herzog's character, and basically he wants to kill him, and so does Greef Karga. I want to say Greef Targa, but that doesn't sound as cool as any Star Wars name. And basically, it was cool. It was really, 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 really cool. The Mandalorian got the Ugnaught from the first episode. Queel was his name, and then to babysit Baby Yoda while keep an extra eye on him, and then he got Cara Dune to help him gun down the stormtroopers, and they finally went to the home world of where the Bounty Hunters Guild was, which was pretty cool. They came with Greef Karga with 2 other bounty hunters, and they got into the lava flats of the planets, and a bunch of pterodactyl creatures attacked them. Greef Karga got cut in the wrist and almost bled out and died, but Baby Yoda healed him with the Force. And then after the next day, they approached where the client was, aka the Werner Herzog's character that wants Baby Yoda. And they basically, up on the hill, the 2 bounty hunters, not including Greef Karga, pointed their guns on Cara Dune and the Mandalorian, kind of like Order 66 style, and then Grief Karga shot them both in the chests, and then explaining that it was a trap and they were going to kill the Mandalorian and then take Baby Yoda and give it back to the client. And it was kind of, but he couldn't do that after what happened last night with Baby Yoda healing him. So they were going to stick with the same plan that was originally panned out for the Mandalorian to go and basically kill the client. Anyways, that happened, but not as expecting as most people were, like, I wouldn't say hoping, but expecting, which was cool. But after the Emperor was killed, there was kind of like several warlords across the galaxy of ex-Imperials, which I think was which is weird and cool. But this was a different kind of warlord, or like kind of a different piece of the Empire, and the leader actually killed the client. And then they had this gunfight with Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune, and the Mandalorian. And by this time, Queel actually was running as fast as he could on his blurg back to the Razor Crest to get Baby Yoda into a safe place. But the Mandalorian didn't know that he had his basically communicator. It was bugged, so the other stormtroopers on the speeders could hear it, and he basically said, "Are you there yet? Are you back at the ship with the child?" And Queel's not armed at all, and he's just an engineer. So then the next scene was basically Baby Yoda basically just laying there crying, and a dead blurg and dead Queel just laying lifelessly on the lava flats. And it was kind of an emotional scene because at least Baby Yoda's not dead, I guess. And the stormtroopers picked Baby Yoda up and went back, and that was the end of the episode. And now to the big stuff. Now to my experience at Galaxy's Edge. So far, on Monday we went to Galaxy's Edge once, and then basically I made a reservation to make my lightsaber, which I went with Power and Control, and I'll be coming out with a video with that tomorrow. It's really cool. I went with a green blade, and I basically made it on Tuesday. It's really cool. It can change colors because I got the additional 3 colors. You can buy an additional 5, but I got 3. I got the red one, the purple one, and the blue one. But I already had my green one to begin with. And we went back tonight. It was great. We checked out Black Spire Outpost and now The Rise of Skywalker. We have new leaks, basically. I haven't watched the movie yet. This is just leaks, and it's just nice. Apparently, you have Kylo Ren dead, Leia dead, and Rey makes a yellow lightsaber, and it looks amazing. and I'm probably going to see it the next time I get back in my country. Anyways, thank you guys all so much for watching and listening to this podcast that was leading up to the events of the Rise of Skywalker. Have a nice evening, and be careful out there.